Good morning, good vibes from me to you. Good afternoon, good night, whenever you're watching this video. I hope it finds a way to the people who it is meant to be for. I'm going to be giving my personal testimony of shadow work and how beneficial and how positive and how unique it has been to me. Shadow work is one of my favorite things to do in form of healing. I'm a writer. I love to write. I love to write poems. I just like to journal every single day and write down my thoughts, feelings, emotions, whatever went on that day, and just break it down and get it out. Okay. When I first started shadow work, it was 2020. Imagine pandemic, inside, scrolling for hours on TikTok. Just scrolling and scrolling. And I had came across a video talking about shadow work on TikTok. Okay, the video was talking about the shadow parts of ourselves and things that we may not necessarily like about ourselves, and how it can help us to release trauma and to release a lot of negative emotions that we've been holding on to that we may not be consciously aware of. So shadow work is working with the parts of ourselves that we may not necessarily like, working with the parts that our ego or our main personality does not agree with that we are. So it tries to hide it in the back, and it tries to not acknowledge those emotions and those feelings and those thoughts that we have. Shadow work is learning all of those things about yourself that you don't like. Learning all those things about yourself that you try to hide because you feel shameful, you feel embarrassed, you feel just, you don't really feel good about those parts of yourself. And it can be negative emotions, like it can be envy, jealousy, greed. It can be power, or it can be positive emotions too. Like in my shadow, I had put vulnerability in. I feel like now, 4 years after I've been doing shadow work, my vulnerability is strength. So it's no longer in the shadow as something I'm shameful of, because my vulnerability is the strength. Even me opening up to y'all about my personal shadow work journey, I feel like that just gives me so much strength and power in my character and everything that I've been through, just to keep on pushing and to just speak and to let my emotions go and to give the people what they need. In 2020, like I said, pandemic time, scrolling on TikTok for hours, and I had just moved down to Virginia from New York, so I was isolated. I didn't really know anybody. I was in the house for, I would say, 6 months. I got down here and just staying to myself and just learning more about myself, doing the shadow work. So I remember I had started Googling what is shadow work and how to begin shadow work, and that's when I learned about Carl Jung, and he was the one who coined shadow work. He has said the shadow is the part of our repressed identity. Like I said, it's the ego hiding our personality. So we are actually not our ego. We are more than that. I started off by doing some beginning shadow work prompts, which would be, what are some elements of your shadow? I actually have my first shadow work journal that I've started writing back in 2020. You can see this thing has been through it, okay? Book of Shadows. So cute, right? But I just wanted to share with y'all some traits of my shadow so you can see how I had begun to develop the relationship that I have with shadow work and how it went for me. So this is a list of where I had created my shadow self and why I believed it was a part of my shadow. And this was absolutely the first thing I have ever done on shadow work. And after I did this, I just remember feeling so mind blown and just so like I broke down my personality by doing this. I was no longer who I thought I was, because I had to become aware and conscious of all of this negative stuff about myself, right? I'm gonna read a couple of my shadow traits. My shadow self is selfish, spiteful, petty, rude, ignorant, scared, antisocial, lazy, unmotivated, closed-minded. Okay, we get it, right? That's my shadow. That's just some traits of my shadow. I used to think I was this nice, pure girl next door, like Like, I couldn't do any wrong. Like, I would always put myself in a victim role, and everything that I did was good. I had no sense of the bad that I caused, and the bad that I caused intentionally or non intentionally through my shadow. After I began obsessing over shadow work, I literally do prompts every day. I'm finding shadow work prompts every day, and I'm just releasing and healing and going through my old traumas and asking myself these deep questions like, why am I insecure? Right? I bet you a lot of people have never even asked themselves this question, like, why are you insecure? What happened that made you insecure? You have to reflect back on yourself, back on those hurt old memories where people caused this pain to you, and think about the first time you felt insecure and what was that like for you, and all the times after that you felt insecure. After you do that, you can pinpoint it. You can forgive it. You can forgive the people that hurt you. You can forgive yourself for allowing that hurt to happen. But essentially, the point of shadow work is to merge that dark and the light, so you are conscious and aware, so the shadow is not operating on its own, so the shadow is no longer taking control over you. What shadow work is to me, metaphorically, it kind of relates to Naruto, Nine-Tailed Fox, like how he had it sealed inside of him. That's our shadow, right? If you remember, if you know about Naruto, Naruto literally had to go inside his mind, his subconscious, go inside his body, connect with the Nine-Tailed Fox, talk to the Nine-Tailed Fox, ask him how can he tame him, how can he control it so it's not hurting him, right? Because Naruto was getting hurt by the Nine-Tailed Fox almost to the point of death because he didn't know how to control it. And that's the same thing our shadow can do to us. So we have to go inside our mind, go inside our psyche, go inside these deep emotions, figure out what happened, why it made us feel like that. And from there, we can move forward and become conscious and aware of when these things happen to us again, what we will do differently. Will we operate out of the same insecurity, or will we change that insecurity to strength, to security, to power, so we no longer are feeling alone? It had made me become more aware of who I was, actually, who I am to other people outside of myself, how other people experience me. And the way I was doing shadow work, it's like I could see myself outside myself, my shadow operating in certain situations. Like for example, one of my shadow traits is ignoring, because I ignore people when I'm upset. I ignore people just for any old reason. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to y'all. Like, sometimes I just don't feel like talking, but the thing is, I can communicate and tell these people I don't want to talk at the time. That's what I've learned with shadow work. But anyway, example, when I'm ignoring people, I can see somebody talking to me, asking me a question, and in my mind, it's a different process now, because usually it would just like go to straight to ignoring. But now it's like, hey, you're literally ignoring the people, and you said that you don't like to be ignored. Why are you ignoring them? It creates a back and forth dialect between your unconscious and conscious that can really be just complicated at times. I've come to realize in the moment when my shadow is operating, and I know it's operating, and that comes to my mind, like, why are you doing this? You know, this is part of your shadow. I can do certain things to kind of try to overcome it. Like, for me, what works is trying to take some deep breaths. Like, just take a couple deep breaths, 3 deep breaths in. Love and peace, love and peace, love and peace. Just really letting go of that control. And I'm not gonna lie, it is hard sometimes. Like, sometimes it gets heated, sometimes the shadow comes out anyway, and like, I don't want to take deep breaths, and I don't want to do anything to combat my shadow. But it's like, at this point, I'm conscious of my shadow, and I'm aware that I'm doing this, so I'm no longer a victim to my subconscious. I'm no longer a victim and powerless to a dark part of my personality that I had no idea about. So it's, when my shadow comes out now, it comes out, and I'm aware of it, and it's me at the end of the day. We have to take everything light and dark as one, yin and yang, everything as above, so below. It's all one. We are all one. Good and bad, light and dark. One thing about the shadow, it really hates to be called out. It really hates to be called out. So there can be times where people are telling you, hey, you're being really rude right now, or you're being a liar, right? And that can be a part of your shadow, a liar. So you sit there, you're like, no, I'm not a liar. I'm not lying. Whole time, if you're being for real and not lying to yourself, you know you're lying. So, and I just really love shadow work because, like I said, it has just made me more aware of my personality and the darkness inside of me, so that I can no longer victimize myself and no longer look at myself as this good girl who's somebody who needs saving and not somebody who needs to save other people for myself. But there are shadow work workbooks that you can do that have prompts in them, daily prompts, weekly prompts. You can get to know your shadow self and heal and tame it, like Naruto had to do the nine-tail fox. So this right here is Shadow Work from the Wounded Healer, and it includes 52 journal prompts, week by week. Take it easy, take it slow, and if you jump right in, it can be a lot. Every day doing shadow work can be a lot. So Shadow Work from the Wounded Healer is available on Amazon, and I have done all of these prompts in this book personally throughout my own shadow work journey, and like I said, it has really made me more conscious and aware of who I am in the inside, dark and light, everything that I come with, good and bad. And if you are looking to start your inner healing journey, and if you are looking to become more emotionally available and emotionally mature, I would recommend Shadow Work from the Wounded Healer. Get your shadow work journey begin, and good luck to you. So subscribe, like, comment, share if you like my stuff, and we'll be back again.